Welcome to another Power Plant podcast here, lying in bed, nice and easy. You've got another book here. It's Hanson's Half Marathon Method or something like that. Good info on training for a half marathon. Look, mine's 5 and 10k mainly, but the basic principles are the same. The splits are just a bit faster. And we're on the topic of nutrition as always. And look, when he gives... They believe in the 30-minute window after exercise. It's not entirely, proven that it's called the glycogen window, if it exists or not. The idea that after a workout, you've got sort of 30 minutes in which you want to get in simple sugars to replenish your glycogen stores. And I'll tell you that certainly they also say within 2 hours eat a meal, which is definitely what I agree with. After a workout, you want to eat a meal to top up your stores for the next training session. I find that on days, if for whatever reason I don't get in food after a workout, is very rare. The next days, it does lead into a couple of days, are more fatigued. And likewise, eating too soon before your race is going to, before your workout is going to impact that. And I do that more often than I should in terms of if I've got to work out later in the day, my lunch will be too big. I need to eat a lot of food, and I like eating food. So for me to hold back sometimes is hard. So tips to do that: if you eat more fruit, generally that just sits better, and you're less likely to go way overboard on your calories if you're eating fruit, because fruit is less calorically dense. And veggies go too, for that. So if you're eating processed foods, you're more likely to maybe get that yucky feeling if you've eaten too much that lingers. And whilst I don't eat processed foods, if I eat a lot of rice, rice is processed, isn't it? Just a lot of rice with veg that might stick in my tummy for 4 to 5 hours mightn't be enough if it's been a big meal for it to sit well enough to have a really good session. Then you're going to have gastro problems during the session, anything from just being bloated to it impacting your gut, farting on the track, that kind of things. We all know the outcomes. Increased likelihood of people chundering. I don't throw up. I've never thrown up because of running. Maybe I haven't run hard enough yet. But some people do throw up because of running, and this can be an additional factor to it. For me, I do like running on an empty tummy. I guess my preference would be eating like lunch at 12, working out at like 5. That's like a 5-hour gap with not too big of a lunch. Or first thing in the morning, not for performance, just for the way it feels in the gut. And then they talk about, in the book, back to the book, they talk about simple carbohydrate sources to eat after a workout, and this is where you got to have your BS filter on if you're reading through research, and this is why you should read lots of different articles from different sources to get an idea of what you need to do, because when they give an example of a recovery fuel, they say like chocolate milk. They'll give like a banana, fruit, oatmeals, cooked carrots. They say some other good sources of things, and then they might say bread, which is like, well, that's not so good, or cornflakes. It depends what type of milk you're putting in, and also it's probably not that good anyway. Orange juice, again, that's okay, but stuff like whole fruits is best, and a baked potato or something might be alright straight away. It's definitely good, but when you compare it to something like chocolate milk, chocolate milk, what are they doing on the list? It's complete BS. And that's the filter you've got to have up, because people still believe these myths because they don't actually know the foundations of what the majority of the articles are suggesting and pointing to in terms of scientific knowledge, and that they read articles about how you can lose 5 pounds in 5 days from the lemon diet, or something like chocolate milk improves recovery. Well, if they do in the study, they put some people on water, they put some people on chocolate milk, it might be better to have some sort of calorie source. Therefore, the chocolate milk wins in terms of not eating after your workout. That's not going to be beneficial compared to having chocolate milk. It's better to have chocolate milk than water, because not taking in any calories after a workout is worse than taking in a shit source of calories like chocolate milk. But if you compare chocolate milk against like a whole banana or something like that, the banana's going to win. Another one here. This is a good thing about the book. In terms of more sound advice, they recommend races under an hour and a half. You're right in terms of nutrition and hydration. You might want a sip of water or something just to keep the throat lined, but you don't need to be taking on anything. And you see people going out on runs and training runs, especially in Hong Kong. They're all about the fanny packs and the backpacks, and there is a big ultra scene here, so it is important to train your gut at the same time. But if you're only doing a run, say you're training for the 10K, you're going to do the 10K in an hour, and you're going out for a 40-minute run, then you do not need to be taking in shit during that run. You don't need to be having gels, sports drinks. Those things are for, like, extremes. Gels are for when you need a quick burst of energy because you've depleted most of your glycogen stores after 2 or so hours of effort, 3 hours of effort. More likely for cycling than running. And, fanny packs and things like that, I can't stand running with them. Just, unless you're training on a long run, or you're training your gut for what you're going to do in the race, that kind of nutrition and sports drink strategy is just unnecessary. And it goes with people having all the gear before they someone will enter a race and they'll buy all the gear, or they won't start their training program until they have all the gear, or they won't step into a dress until they've lost all their weight. It's the same mentality. If you don't start things now or start the ball rolling, you're never going to get there. And all the gear in the world is not going to get you out the door. In the end, you have to put your laces on and do it and be consistent. And that's the key to... Things don't happen overnight, You don't... There's no lottery ticket to winning a marathon. You don't just rock up to a marathon and win the race. You might have potential in terms of if you're like an 18-year-old doing your first 5K and you realise, I ran 19 minutes and I've done no training, then that could indicate something that you've got a base level of fitness and you might be suited to it, but you're not going to not have any training and break 15 minutes straight away. And you're not going to break the world record without training. That's just how things work. Consistency is key. The longer you do it for, if you're doing it correctly, practice makes permanent, then better things happen. So that's just a little training rant. Hope you enjoyed this Power Plant Fitness podcast. Thanks for listening. Catch you later.